Welcome to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. Warner Brothers is no longer completely ignoring all of the legal issues and other strange behaviors that actor Ezra Miller has been displaying over the last few months. And he's still slated to appear in their upcoming film, The Flash, which is slated to be released in June 2023. In fact, it was only last week that Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav praised The Flash, saying it's terrific, amidst all of the scandals that Ezra Miller has been getting into. But the most recent things have really started to potentially bring down the actor's role. I mean, it's entirely possible that this film is not going to be seen. The fate of Warner Brothers' The Flash hangs in the balance as actor Ezra Miller continues to make headlines for their controversial behavior and various arrests. An outright shelving of the film is not off the table, though it would be a last resort. Warner's and its new parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, had hoped to avoid the line of fire because its big-budget DC superhero tentpole isn't scheduled to hit theaters until June 23rd, 2023. But the pressure is mounting by the day, yes, because Ezra Miller won't stop getting into trouble. On Monday, the actor was charged with a felony burglary. And on Wednesday, Rolling Stone reported that Vermont's Child Services Department is attempting to locate a mother and her 3 children who have allegedly been residing at Miller's farm in the state. And I did a video on that just a few days ago. A source with knowledge of the situation says the studio appears to be preparing for 3 possible scenarios. And let's see what these 3 possible scenarios actually are. First, Warner's has received indications that the 29-year-old Miller, whose mother has accompanied the actor in recent days, will seek professional help after returning home to their farm in Vermont after being away. Yes, after being away because he's been trying to evade authorities with Dakota Iron Eyes. That's something that is known about what he's been doing. If that happens, Miller could give an interview at some point explaining their erratic behavior over the past few years. The actor could then do limited press for The Flash, and the movie would open in cinemas as planned. Yeah, we'll see if that's actually going to happen. The second scenario, even if Miller doesn't reach out for help, Warner's could still release the film. But don't expect Miller to play a prominent role in terms of marketing and publicity. Nor would Miller be the Flash going forward, as the role would be recast in future projects. Yeah, I think that Ezra Miller's time with Warner Brothers is pretty much coming to an end. I don't see how the studio is going to be willing to keep the actor on after all of this negative publicity over his legal issues and other unusual behaviors. And now for the third possibility. If the situation with Miller deteriorates further, this would see Warner's killing the movie outright, as it could not be reshot with a different actor. Miller apparently plays multiple characters and is in almost every scene, which explains why they don't want to reshoot the film. Scrapping a $200 million film would be an unprecedented move. Well, Warner Brothers Discovery just canceled the $90 million Batgirl movie that was going to be released on HBO Max, but that was David Zaslav's decision because he assumed that it was just too costly. He didn't want to spend any more money on it, even though the film was basically almost done with post-production work. But its cancellation surprised a lot of people. Unlike The Flash, there was no individual controversy involved. Rather, Zaslav opted to take a tax write-down on the project and pivot away from making streaming films for DC. At this point, David Zaslav is calling all the shots there, and who knows what he's going to do. Miller was cast as the Flash in 2014, the same year a solo the Flash film was announced. The development process has been long, with multiple directors coming and going over the years until IT filmmaker Andy Muschietti finally got the project off the ground. The film also stars Michael Keaton, back as Batman for the first time in 30 years, and Ben Affleck as a different version of Batman. Miller began their time as the Flash with cameos in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad, both released in 2016, before having a main role in Justice League a year later. The Flash is a key film for Warner's, as it is expected to chart a new course for the DC Extended Universe. The film has been testing well, even as Miller's legal woes continue to mount. And yes, the film may look really good. If it's testing well, I can understand why Warner Brothers doesn't want to just toss this work. Also because they spent $200 million on it already. But here's the thing. The film is slated to come out in less than a year. Right now, this is August, so the film comes out in about 10 months. That means that Warner Brothers is going to have to start advertising for this film within the next few months. Probably in January is when the first teaser would get released, and that means that Warner Brothers Discovery is getting ready to start spending more money on The Flash in order to promote it. And so this is actually kind of a crunch time for Warner Brothers Discovery. Do they continue with The Flash, or are they going to cancel it? This is a big decision. With Ezra Miller being such an unpredictable figure and creating so much negative publicity for himself, all of that is going to reflect very poorly on Warner Brothers Discovery if they continue with this film. So the way that I'm reading this Hollywood Reporter article is that, to me, I see this as a direct warning to Ezra Miller more than anything else. We don't know whether or not Ezra Miller has had, good contact with the studio while all of these shenanigans have been going on. But they clearly are sending out a message that there is the possibility that the film could get scrapped. And it's all because of Ezra Miller's behavior. Nothing else. They obviously don't want to cancel it, but what are they risking? There's a big difference between shelving a movie now, losing the $200 million investment, as opposed to continuing to spend even more money on it and then have it flop in theaters because people don't want to go see it because of Ezra Miller's controversial behavior. So this is a fine line that Warner Brothers Discovery and David Zaslav are now walking. They're going to have to make a decision. And this is the time that they are going to have to make it, because within the next few weeks is probably when they're going to need to start preparing the advertising, and that preparation alone is going to cost money. Earlier this week, word broke that Miller had been charged with felony burglary for allegedly stealing bottles of booze from a Vermont home. Police found probable cause to charge Ezra Miller. The latest charge comes after Miller was arrested in April in Hawaii and booked on suspicion of second-degree assault, per the Hawaii Island Police Department. The incident reportedly occurred when Miller was attending a get-together at a private residence and became irate after being asked to leave and reportedly threw a chair, striking a 26-year-old female on the forehead, per police. That came on the heels of a March arrest on charges of disorderly conduct and harassment following an incident at a karaoke bar in Hilo, Hawaii.
I'm not transgender, non-binary. I don't want to be searched by a man. I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. I claim my Fourth Amendment rights.
At least one project has already distanced itself from Miller. On Tuesday, the Salvador Dali biopic, Daliland, left Miller out of its press release in an announcement about its debut at the Toronto Film Festival. Despite the arrests and headlines about Miller's alleged behavior, Zaslav said last week that the studio is committed to theatrical releases for a number of DC films, including The Flash. We've seen them. We think they are terrific, and we think we can make them even better. Zaslav said of DC's upcoming slate. CAA, which represents Miller, didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Well, no one has been wanting to comment on Ezra Miller's behavior. This is just going to be really ugly if they continue with this film and Miller continues acting very strangely. At some point, something has to give. So, like I said, this is Warner Brothers Discovery's crunch time. They need to decide very, very soon whether or not they're going to proceed with this film or they're going to shelve it. Because if they start spending more money on advertising, they're pretty much committing themselves to putting this film out. So we'll just have to sit back and wait and see what happens. Ultimately, it's all up to Ezra Miller. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to see more of our videos in the future and help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.